Welcome to the Rent Roll Starter podcast. Now, today's episode is a special one, and I know I say that every week, but this episode is with Coad from Coad Real Estate. Di's story is quite remarkable. She's had such an up and down and then back up again journey with her rent roll, and that Di started her career or started her business journey by buying a business, and things didn't go exactly as planned. I'm going to let her tell you the story, but her story is quite remarkable in that in a situation where so many people would be willing to just give up altogether and throw in the towel, she has turned things around and turned things around in such a way that now she has more leads and referrals than she knows what to do with. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. So I hope you really enjoy this episode with Coad from Coad Real Estate, and I hope that it inspires you to back yourself and to really push through when things are feeling incredibly hard in your rent roll growth journey. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Di. Welcome to the podcast, Di. I am so excited to have you here, and I was wondering if you could kick us off with a little bit of a flex here on the podcast. Tell us how many referral leads you are working on this month.
I think at the moment I'm working on about 20, early 20s, so around sort of that 2022 mark at the moment. Yeah, so working on conversions for those.
Wow, heavens. And I've got to ask, did you prospect to get any of these leads? So they've all just come to you?
From referrals, yes.
From referrals.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
20 in the last month from referrals. That's a huge number. I know that our listeners would be listening to that and think, I would give anything to have 20 referrals coming to my business.
Yes. Yeah, it's taken a long time to get there. So, yes.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I know that it has not always been like this.
No.
Take us all the way back to the start and tell us about starting Coad Real Estate, about how you bought your rent roll, and tell us that story.
Mm-hmm. How long you got? Look, it was a long journey to get here. So it's been, how long have I had Coad now? So I'd be coming on 9 years that I've had the agency. So I did start off, I purchased a rent roll, a small rent roll, or small to medium rent roll, I guess, if you like. So that was certainly a journey within itself. I've told the story a few times. So there was a acquisition, so I left a job and opportunity came up. I'm very big at running with opportunities. If I get presented with something, I run with it, which is how I've gotten to where I am today. And so the story of that is that it's purchased this rent roll. It went a bit pear-shaped. So there was another agency in the area that had a copy of the rent roll that I wasn't aware of at the time. So they had a copy of the client list and everything, and nobody had made me aware of it, being a new person to all this. And they ended up taking a third of the rent roll off in one foul swoop. So literally within a month of buying the rent roll, click your fingers and a third had gone. So it was very big learning curve, very big lesson. And the lesson to anybody else that out there buying a rent roll, do a retention clause, do a clawback. I did. So I didn't have that knowledge or know how. Well, I did know because I'd run rent rolls before. So I'd done them, so I knew about it, but I didn't probably evaluate the risk as much as what I should have. And so that was a very, very long, probably 2-3 years of treading water. So, realizing that after 6 months or, even after a month, that there's a potential here that I could go bankrupt with this, because I'd committed myself to banks, to loans, to, equipment, furniture, to lease agreements, I'd committed myself to have an office. So when you make these commitments and then you can sort of see it go out the door, it very hard. So it was about 3 years of treading water, at least 3 years of treading water, and long nights, long days, long weeks, long months. lots of stress, lots of arguments, lots of negativity, just, wanting to throw in the towel and be done with it all. And then I looked at the bank loan and went, can't throw it in. I can't do that. I've got to give this a go. I'm in debt for a lot of money. So, so that's what happened with that. So it took a good, I'm going to say at least 3 years, if not more, treading water. But sort of I had to make some really hard decisions back then. So to closing the office well before we had to all do it and work from home 2-3 years ago. I did it 6 years ago. I shut the office after 3 years and changed my branding. I was part of a franchise, changed my branding to me, and started my office and worked from home. So I had one other team member come into my house to work every day, and she started as a temp at 2 days a week, and now has been with me 6, nearly 7 years full time.
Wow. So you made some really big calls and almost did things like the opposite to the way a lot of people would do it. Most people would start from home, then take an office,
yep.
and like maybe start an independent brand and then do a franchise, whereas you started with an office and a franchise and took it the other way and brought it home. And
I've never been one to follow the rules. So no.
So you still have team members working from home at times?
All the time, pretty much. We do have an office space now that we can all use if we need to. So we've got that space, but it doesn't get used very often still. A lot of them are still on the road or working from home or whatever. So I get to use it. I'm in another office today. I would be at the office today, but we had somebody there that had COVID. So it's like, disinfecting the office, so we can't use it today. So I've got a beautiful backdrop. I've borrowed a friend's office. So, but normally, so we do have the office, but a majority of the time they're working from home or from the car, like we do in property management.
Yeah, true. So you mentioned that it took a good couple of years to get from losing a third of the rent roll you'd purchased to really turning things around.
Yeah.
And recovering.
Yes.
Tell us about the process of recovering, and then how did you get to a stage where you started growing again and getting some referrals into your business?
I think it was just about probably just pre-COVID, probably is when we probably got to that point. But funnily enough, I still kept growing over COVID. Like I still was bringing on managements over that time. So even though the whole world was treading water, I found there was a lot more people, and I'm certainly not having a dig at our industry because everybody worked really hard over that time. But there was probably some people that didn't cope as well with what was happening and moving their office to home. That there was probably some agencies that weren't coping as well, getting back to clients when clients really need them. And that's certainly not a reflection of anybody in our industry. It was just that people just coped differently. And I guess the advantage that I had, I wasn't out there to steal managements from other people, but the advantage I had was that I'd already set up working from home, 4 years prior. So I've been set up working from home, and to get to this point now, it was just a lot of long nights, a lot of stress. Probably my hair's grown, but there was probably a few hairs pulled out at that time. But so it's gotten to that point now, where we work basically with just referrals. I'm not doing a great deal of marketing. Yeah. So nice. I will again, but I haven't needed to because I've got more than enough work that I can keep up with for the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And can I ask, are you finding that referrals are coming from your existing client base or from referral partners, or like what's the split?
Both. Yeah, the mix. Both. A lot of them are current clients. So I've got a couple that I've managed one property for them, and they're happy with us. Then they'll give us a second property, then the third property, then the fourth property. And one of them I said, how many more have you got hiding back there? Because you keep giving me properties. How many more have you got, just so I can do a bit of estimating of staff and goals? How many more you got back there for me? He goes, no, it's all good, Di. This is all I've got now. So we managed 5 for him. But and I've got another one that there's another. I've got several clients actually that have drip fed me. So I just picked up there was another 2 weeks ago, I think. We already managed 3 for him, and then he gave us another 2. I know he's got more back there. So, but he said, and I've said to him, just so I can estimate, how many, he goes, don't you worry. I'll look after you. Okay, good. And I don't harass him. I don't do any chasing. I just know that we provide that service to him that he's happy with. And we have a certain relationship, the way we talk to each other, and it's all good. And he'll just keep drip feeding me as they become vacant or, whatever. But I don't feel I need to chase him at all. And that's a good relationship to have, that there's no chasing on my behalf. And I had another call yesterday from someone. Now I'm like, how many do I manage for him? I think I've got 2, 3, 4. I think I've got 5 of his, I think. And then he rang me yesterday. I've just bought another one. Can you take it over? But then he said, I'll be honest with you. I gave it to the agent that I bought it from. I want to be honest with you, Di. Like, he felt like he needed to be honest with me in our relationship, that he had to tell me. He goes, I gave it to the lady that sold it. I said, that's fine. It's okay. I'm not offended. You've got to do what you have got to do. I said, that's fine. He goes, I'm really sorry. So he was apologizing to me for not giving me his other management. And I said, it is okay. But he says, but she's not renting it. So you need to have it. Okay, that's fine. Again, I'm not taking the management from somebody else. He's giving it to me. So we've got a lot of those clients. So current ones. I also had another 2 about a month ago that it was a friend. I think there was actually, sorry, I'm going to pause, but I think there was probably about 3 or 4 last month. They were all current clients referring friends to us. And I picked up one, a takeover management last week it was a referral from an OC manager, body corporate. So we get a few of those as well, because we actually get along with a lot of the body corporate managers. So a lot of the time you go, oh, that person's a pain. But we take the time, my team and I, we take the time to get to know our OC managers. We talk to them. We have these little chats and whatever. And we're friends with a lot of them. So I get a lot of referrals from OC managers. And there was another one last week, one of our tradies referred us.
Oh,
so, yeah. So there was a tradie that we do a lot of work with. I referred him to another agent. So he does a work with another agent in our area. And then she couldn't take on this management. So then he said, so the client then said to our tradie, who do you recommend? Well, he said, I only use really 2 agents. So if she can't handle you, then you need to go to this one. But he said, but I deal a lot with these guys. We manage our tradies' personal properties as well. I think I've got 3 or 4 of our tradies' properties that we actually look after. We deal with them, and they've given us their properties as well. So, and he said, it's only that you're already with this agent, but now that she can't help you, then you have to go to Di because she manages my personal property. So that works really well. So we've got definitely like the different avenues. So you've definitely got, current clients. I've also got referral partners that I use, buyer's advocates. Get a lot of leads from buyer's advocates. We have the tradies and the OCs. So we've got the 4 different avenues.
Wow. And to be able to tap into OCs.
And social media. Sorry, we get social media too. We do get it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But to be able to tap into OC or strata managers, they are people who know all the investors almost, if they're overseeing buildings.
That's right.
So to be able to win over OC or strata managers, so that they're referring to you, that's like gold.
That was one. I've probably picked up at least a dozen for OC managers.
Wow.
Over the last couple of years. I sent one, and then we don't have a referral program with them. I don't pay these people any money. We don't have any referral. I don't pay the tradies any money, the OCs, anything like that. It's based purely on our service levels, that we can service the client. And we do go in all areas of Melbourne and Victoria as well. I don't segregate. And, even when I was at a conference last week, which I need to talk about, I was at a conference and I was talking to some people and like, why do you go there? Like, why is the money? There's no money in that. I went, it's not about that for me. It's about helping people, and it's about that I'll go to the other end of Victoria if they need me to. And, I've got a client, I manage 2 properties for him down in Geelong. We're not in Geelong. We're in inner city Melbourne. But we manage it because we can drive there, and as long as I can drive there, being a mobile office, we can manage it, and we can do routines. And he's buying a property up in Mildura. And he said to me, I just want to see how far Coad Real Estate will go for me. Will you manage Mildura? And I said, you know what? For you, I would. And he said, and that's 7 hours drive. And he goes, serious? And I said, well, I would, because I said, actually, I'd probably get another agent to help me out with the leasing side of it. I said, but for routines, anything like that, I said, I'll do a weekend away. I'll jump in the car, and I haven't really explored a lot of Mildura. So how about I go up there and I'll do your routines and do this, and I'll make a weekend away. So it has that work-life balance for me. So, but it's also about helping that person. So it's not about for me, this is not for everybody, but for me, yes, the profits at the end of the day are a good thing, but it's also about helping that person. So, and also it means that we have to help that OC manager, because it's going to help us manage our property and actually help us get the job done. That's why OC managers like us, because we make their jobs easier, and we also make them look good sometimes. So yeah.
Well done. There's power in making people look good, isn't there?
100%. Yes.
So can you tell us about, like, what do you do to keep these referrals coming in? Because you're not picking up the phone and ringing and saying, have you got any leads for me?
No.
They're ringing you, or they're just giving out your number, aren't they?
All the time I'm getting the leads. So the friend's office that I'm using now, so he is a buyer's vendors advocate, had his own rent roll, didn't enjoy doing the rent roll or anything like that. So we've basically absorbed his rent roll that he had. He had 15 properties, but it was a service-driven thing. So he wanted to service his clients and help with that, but then decided that he wanted to focus more on the other side of it, the advocate side. So we've basically, absorbed the rent roll into ours. So I then send him some sales referrals, and then we get back so we have a contra sort of a deal, if you like. Send him a couple of sales referrals. He sends us a couple of rental referrals, but also he knows how we work. I did a training session with them recently on all of our new legislation. So I sat with them for a couple of hours and trained them up on, not trained them, but, gave them the tips on, if they're buying investment properties, this is what you need to look for, because it's going to make our life easier. But I'm giving them the education and the tools and the skills to say it needs to meet minimum standards, gas compliance, electrical compliance. You've got to do disclosures and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But that's going to help them in their jobs when they're buying for investors, and not then investors then going, oh, hang on, I didn't know I was going to be up for that. I didn't know I was going to be having to do compliance and everything. So I've then taken it, and I got that tip from another friend of mine who owns an agency. And I got that tip that she was doing that, and we were having a chat, and I went, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So from doing that and giving that value added to them, it's educating their teams, their people, it then comes back to us. But no, they're ringing us, but also they can, and we manage their personal properties as well. But also they can see how we work. And I think this all just came through from an intro. I think it was all an intro through a third party, and it just happened from there. But we also, those buyers advocates and vendors advocates like us because they're also not getting complaints about us. They're not getting complaints. And also I know there's a buyers advocate I've been using for quite a few years now. And her biggest thing was, we don't have the staff changeover. So, and I know that happens in a lot of agencies. I'm not saying it happens everywhere, but it does happen in a lot of the bigger agencies. Her big thing was referring to us because they're dealing with me as a director. They're dealing with my senior PM who's been with me for 6-7 years. There's no constant changeover. My other team members have been with me for 2 years. So I've got that longevity of staff. So they're not getting passed around from person to person to person. They don't know. And a lot of the complaints we get with takeover managements, I don't know who I'm dealing with. I don't know who I'm dealing with. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be the case. So they know that they can get me. If they can't get me, they know they can get Dan. They know they can get Rashida. Whoever it is, they know they can get hold of that person. So, but it's very rare. If they can't get hold of me, I'll always call them back, or one of the team will. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and that was the one of the buyers advocates I use. We get lots of referrals, and a lot of that was, we also do a special rate for her clients as well. We reduce our fee slightly for her clients, but also so that gives her that benefit on, she'll look after you with fees, but she'll also look after you with service. But also she doesn't have the staff changeover. I've been able to retain my team for a very long time.
Yeah. So if we've got people who are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast and they're not getting many referrals into their business, either from their referral partners or from their landlords or heavens, from their OC or strata managers or from their tradies, like, what would your advice be to people who are listening going, I want to get more referrals? What should I be doing?
Service. Service, back up what you're going to say you do. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say a new management listing that you're going to provide a certain level of service, do it. It's that whole cliche. It's like it's not all fancy. It's not all this, not all smoke and mirrors. If you're going to say you're going to do something, then you back it up. Don't just go, oh, I forgot about that. Have systems and procedures in place. So yes, we've got all these relationships, but they've been built up over a period of time. But we've also got, I'm very systems and procedures orientated. So my team also have their responsibilities that they do. We are task-based to a degree. We're not portfolio-based. So we run a very different model as well. But also my clients know who they're going to get at the end of the day. So it's more that, I guess it's more, yes, they know who they're going to get, but also provide that service to them. So if they want you, I actually give you an example. I terminated a management. I've terminated quite a few managements because the owners are not doing what they need to do to make the properties compliant. So I don't need those on my rent rolls. So I then terminated the management. I took it over from another agency. I gave it to another agency, I've terminated it. Another agency's picked up the file. That's fine. But even when I'm ringing that property manager, I'm getting message bank. I'm getting the standard message bank. The phone's not even ringing. I'm getting straight to message and it's just a generic message. And then I email them to say, pick up the file or here are the keys. I'm getting it. I'm getting the auto messages back all the time. I'm out of the office. So if I was a client looking at that and I've said to them when I'm signing them up, yep, I'll be available to you, blah, blah, blah. But then if I'm ringing you and it's going straight to message and then it's going straight to email bounce or return, I'm not backing up what I'm saying, that I'm going to provide that service to people. So I think it's about being available to a point that we educate our tenants and landlords that, hey, we're available business hours, but if it's an emergency, you'll get me after hours. But don't just call me about general stuff after hours. I've got to have a family and life and everything as well. So so there's that sort of stuff is the tip would be provide that service that they want. But I also what's the word I'm looking for, is that I alter my service to suit what the client wants. So if my client wants me to pay all their bills and do this and do that and wants me to be available and wants me to do the routines, if that's going to be worth it to bring in a management or two or three or four and make that assessment at the time, then I'm going to be available to that client. I'm not going to hand it across to somebody. So or if I know that they're going to be better suited with Deanne, then Deanne's going to be the one that, and I introduce her at the start anyway. But with that side of things is I back up what I say I'm going to do. It's rare that I don't back it up. But I'm also available, to people when they've got concerns. We're at a point now where there were clients that were going to walk out at the start. When I first bought the rent roll, they came into my office to pick up their files, and I think with one of them I cried. I said, please don't go. Like this is, at the start, like 8 years ago, it was 8-9 years ago. Please don't go. Please give me a chance. Basically because I couldn't afford to lose any more. And she was stuck with me. And she's one of my most loyal clients. She's beautiful. But her and I catch up for lunch, once a year. She takes us out for lunch. She's like, right, girls, where are we going? What are we doing? Where are we going? What date are you free? So she takes us out for lunch. She takes us out for champagne. I get invited to my client's house for champagne, at Christmas time. So, love a good champagne and red wine. But, it's that kind of stuff that we develop those relationships with people. So this is not just, yes, we're property managers. We're not just property management. We are people managers as well. So I alter my service to suit them. And I say to them at the start, like, how involved do you want to be? Are you hands-on? Are you hands-off? What do you want from us? What sort of input or output do you want from us? Do you want to be hands-on? That's fine. If you do, we'll contact you with everything you need. And then we've got other clients going, just ring me. If it's over $1,000, ring me then. So we've got notes in our system. We've got procedures in place. We've got a system for everything. So it gets alerted to us. If that routine is due, we know to call that client to go, they need to be at that routine. They want to attend their own maintenance. They want to do this own check, whatever. They want to be there when the compliance checks get done, whatever it is. So we have all those systems in place. So, and sorry, that's a really long-winded answer, but we're still backing up what we're saying we're going to do, but it's also communication is the biggest thing. I can't stress that enough, is communication. And that's picking up the phone, getting back to an email, getting back to them quickly. I had a bad week a few weeks ago. I think I was away or one of my team was away and we had a lot of time. And I think it took me 2 days to get back to a client. And she rang me to see if I was okay. Because she's like, are you okay? Like, it's not like you did not get back to me. And I said, I'm really sorry. I just had a really busy couple of days. I had a team off with COVID and things. So I got hit with it last minute. So I just said, I'm really sorry that that's not me. So just bear with me. Give me a few days and I'll come back to you. And it wasn't an urgent matter. But it wasn't anything that was life and death. But they were checking in on me to make sure.
And isn't
because
that
my communication levels are there.
Like, interesting that so many landlord clients, if the relationship is not good between property manager and landlord and you don't get back to them in the time frame they expect, most landlords in a poor relationship will jump straight to angry.
Yes.
But because you have such good relationship and such strong service history with clients.
Yes.
She didn't jump straight to angry. She jumped straight to worry.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Yeah. That's not like you did not respond. I'm like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. That is not me. And so we are 24 hours. Like, we're a turnaround. If I don't have an answer for them in my inbox, if I don't have an answer for someone, I don't have the answer right now, but you can leave it with me until the end of the week or next week or something. Or there's a text message or there's an audio message that I send off my phone. Like, I'll send an audio message to say, hey, just letting you know, I haven't had a chance to look. And there was a new client, actually. There was a client, he rang me last week. He wants to buy a property, but he wanted my advice on buying the property. Is this going to be a good investment? What do you think it's worth? I said, I don't know. I said, you're in my out of area, so let me research and I'll come back to you. And I think it was like a couple of days later, and I hadn't got back to him again because I just had a lot of stuff on. And he's like, how'd you go with that stuff? He was never going to go elsewhere. He was never going to. But I want to make it very clear, though, in this podcast, I'm not being complacent with those people. It's not a thing that I don't get back to people. I definitely do, because that's how we get these referrals. It was just a couple of cases where we've had a lot going on with COVID and things. So it was just my response times were a little bit slower. But I made that clear to them. I said, look, you're going to have to give me a week, and I'll give me a few days, or give me a week and I'll come back to you. And then he chased me up right on the week, though. And I said, he goes, how you going with that? I said, I'll have something to you later today. I said, give me a week, and it took a week. I'll have something to you later today. He's like, yep, cool, thumbs up. So that was all good. So again, it just comes down to backing up what I say I'm going to do. So if I say I'm going to get back to them in a week, then but I try and extend it out to how long it's going to take me to get back to somebody.
Setting really clear
so normally it's 24 hours. Communication, normally we're 24 hours, but like I said, we don't always have the answers. We've got to get the answers from somewhere else. So a lot of the time it's going to be, if the answer, I need to research that answer or whatever, I set the expectation, I guess is probably the right description for it, is setting the expectation that I'm not going to get back to you in 24 hours. This is going to take me a week or whatever, to get this done. So it is setting the expectation with people and communicating that. So
that's so powerful. I think it's really interesting that that something as simple as just doing what you promise when you say you're going to deliver a certain level of service is the thing that is resulting in, what did you say at the start of the podcast? 20 leads in the last 20
months. 20 days. Yep. I got 5 leads yesterday in one day. So I had a phone call from one of my referral partners, and I've got these properties to come and have a look at. I said, well, I'm actually around in that area tomorrow. I'll come. So basically I said, I'll be there tomorrow. And they had actually gone to another agency that their client, so the referral partner's client, had used previously. And that was, I think they'd contacted them 2 weeks ago. Hadn't had any responses, followed them up on the weekend, still no response. And then I think she's trying to sell the property to an investor. She then contacted me yesterday, because this is a short stay. So I do Airbnb rentals as well as long term. So this one was a short stay one. The short stay company hadn't got, so 2 weeks without an answer. And they'd used that company previously. She texted me yesterday, or rang me yesterday, told me about it. I said, yeah, I can be there tomorrow. I'm around. So when would you like to see me? Wednesday, Friday, whenever suits. She said, oh, tomorrow's good. So we set up these texts, and then she texted me the client's details. I rang the client. We had a conversation. She's now going to put an offer on the property after speaking with me, because I've given her all the returns and what you can expect to do with the Airbnb management. So this is what you can expect with this property. I had already seen through the properties, but I said, I'm going to have a look tomorrow at your specific one that you're putting an offer on. I'm happy to go there. So it was all teed up within 24 hours when she'd waited 2 weeks for the other agent to respond. So, and that's now turned into potential 4 managements for me today. So, you know, by picking up the phone, backing up what I'm saying I'm going to do, communicate, all that, it's going to turn into be 4 managements. My other client is going to give me the other one that he gave to the other agent, and because he felt obligated, but he also felt obligated to apologise to me. So that one's going to come on. I've got to go and have a look at that one tomorrow. So, but he was texting me at 8 o'clock last night. I was responding. But that's okay for me because I'm the business owner, so I can do that. That's not going to be something that's possible for a lot of people probably listening to this. But if you're starting a business, I guess that's what you still do, is that you're starting your rent roll, then you are available at 8 o'clock at night. You know, I think I draw the line about 10 o'clock. I'm not available at 10, but I said to my client, I'll come back to you tomorrow. Give me a time. I'm out for dinner with my husband, but let me know and we'll talk. But I just talked to him on text when I was at dinner, so it was fine. But it doesn't bother me, and I've also got a very understanding husband that doesn't mind me working the hours that I work, because he knows that I make promises to people and I need to back it up. So he's fully understanding of that.
And I think like everybody's line in the sand is different. So for me,
absolutely,
5:30 was my cutoff.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, when you are growing a rent roll and when it's yours, you get to choose.
Exactly. And I think that if I hadn't have gone through what I went through, and it took me so long to build it. So now, from losing those properties 8 years ago to another agency, until I basically begged them to stop taking the managements, and they shook my hand, and he hasn't taken one since, thank goodness. But until that point, you know, I think it's something that in my head, you know, I want to help people as well, but I've also tripled the business in that time, in those 8 years. So yes, I lost a third of it, but then I've also tripled what I had left. So, you know, and that was basically, backing up and getting rid of the managements that aren't. I'm now in a position to be able to do that. So I wasn't in a position to do that 3, 4, 5 years ago. I was just putting up with everything. And now I had one recently that wouldn't fix mold at a property. And I said, well, sorry, I can't. I'm doing everything I can. I need to get this done. This is an urgent repair, you know, that's urgent in my mind. And wouldn't do it. Oh, the tenant's fine. I said, the tenant's not fine. Like, the tenant's not fine. They're the one that reported it to us at the routine inspection. So the tenant's not fine, and you need to do your obligations as a rental provider. You need to fulfill these obligations, and they wouldn't do it. I said, well, sorry, I can't help you. So those sorts of ones I certainly do try and help, but, you know, you can only help people that want to be helped as well. So, you know, if they didn't want the help, but they're putting themselves in that position, not me. So, but I don't want to be put in that position by that person. So, but it's taken me now, 9 years later, to be in that position to be able to do that.
Exactly.
So if you're going to do this, people, get it in it for the long haul.
It's not one of those overnight success sort of businesses that you can just start up and 6 months later sell and retire.
That's right.
Yeah. So
there's been times I've thought about it, but no.
Oh yeah, we've all had moments like that. So as we're wrapping up this podcast, do you have any final tips for those who are listening, just going, I wish that my clients were sending me more referrals?
Yeah, no, basically just what I've said there. It's just communication, service, you know, systems and procedures to back yourself as well. So, you know, you can't remember everything. You know, that's a lot of people. And look, I'm guilty. A lot of it's in my head, but it drives my team mad sometimes because it's all in my head. But like, there's a lot of legislation in my head, like a lot of that sort of stuff, a lot of procedures in my head, a lot of things. Back it up in writing, but also you'll back yourself, I guess, is what I can say is back yourself, do your education, do your training, go to the training sessions. There's lots of really good coaches out there, you included. You know, you're one of the best. You got me out of my, you know, mindset, I'll be forever in debt for you for that. So, but when I was, how long's it been now? A few years?
Years,
yeah. 5-6 years. Yeah. So you got me out of that and into the next, I have you to thank and be forever grateful for that. But it's something where I back myself now, and I back my service and I back my team. So I guess the tip would be is I over communicate. Strange being in this podcast, but I over communicate. I don't under deliver. I deliver on what I say I'm going to do. So that's backing myself and backing my team, and surrounding myself with like-minded people. In the same instance, is surrounding myself with like-minded team, people, friends, all that can understand the journey. But the tip is, surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up and not drag you down, and not be negative. Ignore the naysayers is something that I had a lot of trouble with that for a while. So I know there's a few tips in there, but a big thing for me was I had to block out the naysayers. I had to block out the people that were saying she's no good, she's this, she's that, and wanted to have a personal jib at me. I had to learn to block them out. So there was a lot of that going on because I could see my vision where I wanted to be. So I could see where I wanted to get to, and I'm still working on it. I've got a coach, so I've still got several coaches. So I'm still working on that goal and where I need to be, and where I want to be. Sorry, I'm still working on that. It's always going to be a work in progress. But I think back yourself, over communicate, and provide. People want service, and especially post-COVID market, people want help, people want service, and don't take it personally. Like if people are rude and everything, don't take it personally. But back and if you have tenancy disputes, things like that, back it up with your source documents, your tenancy legislation, say that, back yourself and get a coach, get training, do that to make yourself more. Not more educated, but you know what I mean, like to be able to back yourself a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah,
hopefully that helps. Yes,
that's a huge help. Thank you so much for being here. I know that there's a good chance that some of those who are listening to this podcast might come on over and check you out or follow you on social media. So I'll pop links in the show notes to where they can at least find your website or your socials, or add you as a contact on LinkedIn. Or
sounds good. Yeah, all over. I'm not on LinkedIn, sorry. So
won't be doing that then.
Won't be doing that. Not on LinkedIn because I just couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah,
but I'm on all the others, so it's all good. But no, look, I'm more than happy to help, and like I said, forever grateful for you for helping me and getting me to the next level of where I am now, and that's something I'll be forever in your debt for.
Oh, thank you so much, Di. It's been lovely to be part of the journey, and thank you for being so willing to share your story from the really, really tough times through to having, 20 referral leads come in the last month. I think that's the ultimate story and the ultimate example for listeners to go, even if it's feeling really hard, back yourself.
Yeah.
You'll get around to the other side.
You will breathe. And the final tip is don't do what I did, and don't do what I did. Get a clawback if you're going to buy.
Exactly.
But for organic growth now, I'm not buying anymore. I have bought another rent roll since, but I haven't. I did buy another one in Macedon Ranges, not Melbourne. So I did buy another one. So, and that wasn't anywhere near the experience of the first one. So, it didn't scare me off completely, but, I guess it would be don't do what I did and get a clawback and retention clauses, or get advice, get legal advice and do all that, and don't try and do it yourself.
Very, very wise words to end on. Thank you so much for being with us, Guy. That's been
problem. Bye.
So what did you think of that episode? Wasn't that an incredible story of going through the depths of hardship in business, where she was staring down the barrel of bankruptcy, and yet is now on the other side, where this month alone she's dealing with 20 referrals from people that she already knows. Like, how remarkable is that, to get to a place where you've got referrals just coming out your ears without even having to prospect for them? So if nothing else, I hope that you take away from this episode the strategies that Di has shared about giving the service you promise and backing yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rent Roll Starter podcast. I'll see you in the next episode.